Hi, Jen.
Hi. So complicated. I hope no one else is here. Maybe.
Oh, yeah, I think people can send their reactions to tell us if they're here or not, if they click their mouse. You
uh,
see?
Sorry. It has been a long day, let me tell you. I have talked to over 100 people, literally 100 people, due to this program. So I'm going to be a little bit loopy.
I can always bring the dog on camera if
Yes,
a
please.
mood boost is needed.
Please, now. Can you?
I can, but the baby is in season, so do not judge me for what you're gonna see. Come on,
How
up, up,
appropriate.
oppa! She's going around with her panties.
Hi.
Yeah.
Does she hear, or you're in headphones so she can't hear you?
No, she cannot hear.
Is she going to come to the park this Sunday, or is
No,
she's busy?
she's in season, so I worry that she will be chased around, so she's staying home.
Okay. The other
But
one.
please walk. The other one, May, and he's still very active. So when he comes over, I'll pick him up. But at the moment, he is gnawing, you say, at the door.
No. Aw.
It's a joy. Different personality.
Are we waiting on Mary Jane or anything, or do I just start? What's the...
It's 4:20. I think we can start.
All right.
And you're already recording.
Oh, yeah, we've already started. Okay, well, let me remember how to share my screen. It's so weird when I don't get to see everyone's faces, but I will hopefully share the right thing. Yeah?
Yes, I can see the screen.
All right. Hey, so Mary Jane just said the session's starting now. So I guess the session's starting now. How do I know? Oh, there's a session chat. Oh yeah, okay, there. Sorry, this is just okay. Hello. Maybe we should begin with some intros before I jump in with the chat. Does that work for everybody? I'm Jennifer Estaris. I have worked in games for well, I'm going to talk about myself actually quite a bit here, but in this talk. But worked in games for a while. Recently directed Monument Valley 3, also Monument Valley 2, The Lost Forest DLC, as well as Subway Surfers. Worked at Disney, Nickelodeon before that. Huge sustainable futures advocate. So there's going to be a lot of this in this talk, as well as in addition to being able to care for ourselves, care for the world, we need to care for ourselves. So this is such an important piece, which is the greener gaming and the healthier selves part. I'm also currently, as you may have heard a few minutes ago, I'm in a climate tech program where we are trying to build solutions for the future that involve climate tech, and it requires a lot of talking to people. It's an 8-week program. It's quite exciting, but I apologize if I slow down at times and then speed up really quickly at other times. But it's nice to meet you all. Valentina, shall I hand over to you?
Yes, I'll be faster. Jen has done most of the work, if not all, for the slides. So I'll be here to help with the questions and guide the conversation as well when it comes to wellness. I have a longer, I guess, history with games by now somehow. So I've been in the industry since 2009, and I started organizing digital art exhibitions actually, and then moved in working for studios with startups, and then Ubisoft on both mobile and console. And the game that really made me start working with sustainability was Hungry Shark. 12 years ago, when we started really partnering and adding in-game elements of awareness and raising funds campaigns and so on in regards to oceans conservation and sharks as well. So yes, from there, everything started. Worked a bit with the Alliance as well, and that's where I met Jen. And so since then, we've been in touch and collaborate on sustainability and wellness topics where possible. And on the other side of all of these, I have a holistic coach, let's say certificate or experience, and I do come from a background in spirituality. And so in that sense, I am very keen on supporting the wellness side of things, especially in the gaming industry where, it's I believe it's an industry with a lot of passion, and maybe because of that, sometimes we tend to forget about ourselves and caring for us. But this is something we can cover after the slides. I'll give it back to Jen, and then we'll chat again soon.
I think that kind of brings up a nice little prompt for people to think about is when it comes to wellness, and especially in the games industry, maybe think about some of the challenges you've had, and we'll be asking people to share them at the end of the session or at the end of my talk part. So let's hop in. I wanted to cover a bit the description that was beautifully written by, I believe, Mary Jane, which was this greener gaming, healthier selves. How can we as game developers care for both the planet and ourselves, and as women caring for all these things in a high demand industry? I'll be sharing a lot about my personal journey through green game development and social wellness. And hopefully we'll all learn how environmentally conscious practices and events can drive meaningful change. And by events, I mean community events. So, and as Valentina mentioned, the second half, we're going to talk about sustainable self-care strategies, have a conversation, get to know each other a little bit. And my hope is that you have some practical insights as well as just some personal healing while we go through this. So let's start by, I would like to start by dissecting one of my favorite and most challenging words out there, the word economics. And one of my bachelors was in economics, so I love and hate the word. So the modern economy has strayed far from the origins of this word. It's broken up into eco, which is derived from the Greek oikos, which means home. And then you have nomia, meaning management. And today, economics has been largely reduced to pursuit of profit, and it leaves behind this core principle of managing and caring for our shared home. A bit more about me. I'm Jennifer Staris. I am a Filipino-American game director and designer currently based in London. Let's see if there's anything here that's interesting. I'm a mom, and my 11-year-old is getting back from her 3-day trip today. So I'm going to be excited to see her. She might come interrupt this session. We'll see. And then also a huge advocate for climate justice, just transitions and systems change. As a game designer, I love systems change. In addition to making games, I also talk about them. Like here, I'm really excited about that sixth intersection of games and social change. And I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. I take to the streets. This is the end of the Biodiversity March in London. It's a die-in where about 50,000 of us lay on the streets for a few minutes. It's surprisingly cozy. We have that warm road, the blue skies. It was silent. It was really strangely silent. And everyone was cuddled up together. So activism can be cozy. That's us three in the middle, me, my partner, and my daughter in the tiger outfits, because biodiversity. Activism can be playful. So Extinction Rebellion has a bunch of family-friendly outreach events, and I host a board game booth based on nature and nature-based solutions. It's really nice to have this strong community. And at festivals, I run an eco-punk tabletop role-playing game called Terra Preta, which I hope you will see at a future talk or event that I give and participate. So the climate movement can iterate. It can be more playful, more cozy, more engaging, and more hopeful. And not just on the streets, but in the policies. I don't know if you're familiar with Playing for the Planet, the games industry policies, but it is an organization. Come here. I haven't seen you in 3 days. She's just arrived. Look, I'm giving a talk. There she is. Say hello to all 55 people. Sorry. These things happen. Life interrupts, and it's beautiful. I missed you. Okay. How was your trip?
Good.
Okay. I'm going to keep giving my talk, but if you have any other, would you like to join us and give some feedback on how but you went camping, you went into the wilderness.
It wasn't exactly camping because we had cabins, but.
Well, it's kind of, what was your favorite thing? Did you get to?
We did the trapeze again, and I hated it.
Okay.
We did rock climbing, and we did the giant swing.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Axe throwing.
An axe throw. You were the best at axe throwing. Great, as I expect. That's my daughter. Okay, so sorry, talking about Playing for the Planet. It's an organization founded in 2019, facilitated by the UN Environment Program. It's about 50 member studios, like Supercell, Sony, Ubisoft, Unity, so many, usTwo, Cybo, all working together to decarbonize within our studios, as well as implement green activations through this event called annual event called the Green Game Jam, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And then finally, we innovate through special projects. For example, I serve on the advisory council and as the co-chair of the storytelling committee, where we're trying to figure out some guidance for climate storytelling. Great organization. Highly recommend joining your studios. Here's where I mention all the studios that are a part of it. So the Green Game Jam. In this event, we take live games that have an existing audience. We tweak the games by adding green content, by adding green events, green live ops, and then this empowers players to take action for the environment. And we've done this for 5 years now, and grand totals, we have 169 activations, games like June's Journey, PUBG Mobile, Brawl Stars, 100 million daily active users reach on average per year for 5 years, 3.5 million trees, yeah, absolutely global, all around the world. I mean, I think we have maybe 2 companies from China. We're trying to get more. And then 1.5 million US dollars. And of course, I think one of the things we're lacking is enough organizations from the Global South. I think we have maybe only 3 or 4 from the Global South. It was just, yeah, got to keep on doing outreach. So if your organization hasn't joined yet, let's chat. So examples of Green Game Jam. Saibo Subway Surfers is a casual endless runner, has a world tour, about 4.4 billion downloads. And we add a green event every year, starting back when I was on the Subway Surfers project in 2019. Last year, they had a veggie burger event, inspiring people with plant-based fun. You could run there, gather, I guess, veggie burger materials. There's a character that looks like they're made out of a veggie burger, which is weird. And then a lot of community initiatives about people sharing their plant-based recipes. I don't know if you're familiar with Trail. Yeah, the CEO of, sorry, I'm responding to the chat because I can't help but look at it. The CEO of Subway Surfers, the CEO of Saibo is Matthias Gretel Norvig, who is one of the co-founders of Playing for the Planet. And he is just such a supporter, such a big, not just a supporter, he's a motion maker. What is the word, Valentina? Like, he's a huge advocate and activist in this space. So it was really great working with him. And yes, Love and Pies. It's Trailmix's cozy telenovela-esque Merge 2 puzzle game. 1 year, and the co-founder, one of the co-founders there is Tristan Clark, also another big advocate for the space. It's someone I'm working on a game jam with later on. I'll share more details. I'm sorry, I'm not speaking English. Okay, so 1 year they supported the endangered Harlequin toad. And then last year they connected the dots to local green initiatives in the real world. Ubisoft, Valentina. So this is Riders Republic. It's a massively multiplayer sports video game. And for the Green Game Jam, Riders Republic had a 2-week-long digital tree planting race, which began with an in-game climate march. So players were invited to walk together from the social hub to the in-game reforestation location, making the first video game climate walk. So for those of you who don't know what Monument Valley is, it is a meditative puzzle adventure game series about illusions and architecture set in a beautiful, mysterious world, has over 150 million downloads. And when I joined usTwo Games, I had the experience of the Green Game Jam back at Subway Surfers, and I wanted to explore this at usTwo. So I'm going to tell you the story of how we figured out how to make green content for an already existing game world. So the annual Green Game Jam, as I mentioned, is a few weeks long, and it begins with this number of speakers who can inspire developers and what to create and why. And this particular talk resonated with us. This is Peter Wolleben. He's the author of The Hidden Life of Trees. It's a nonfiction book. It surprisingly reads like a fairy tale about how trees communicate through the hormones that spread through the wind, through the fungal networks that connect their roots. One of my favorites is about how mother trees can recognize and protect their children. So they could protect them as shelter from the wind, but also they strengthen the baby trees by shading them so that they get less sun, so that they grow up more resilient trees. And he gave this talk in a forest. It's light here, but it was sunset and it became completely dark by the end of his talk. And we wanted to capture that essence for our jam. So some of the research we started doing was looking at other games. This one is the game Below the Root, a 1984 video game that I had on the Apple IIc. And it's this world covered in enormous trees and wildlife. And you were tasked to stop the world from disaster. I particularly like the bottom middle screenshot where you are having a moment with little Bunny, And the bunny is giving an emotion of warmth, and they're saying this message, the spirit rises within. We also researched by looking at a bunch of trees. Some of these, my favorites, are the Spanish moss-covered trees over in Florida, not too far from where I grew up. And we had a small team working on Monument Valley 2's DLC, about 8 of us, and we had a bunch of tree conversations on Slack. So Fen is one of the senior artists at usTwo Games, and they mentioned this Japanese technique called daisuki, where trees are grown on top of other trees, which then reminded Maria Science, the CEO, of a tree she encountered on her daily walks. It's a tree here, I think is a tree stump with a tree growing out of it. And that reminded me of this term that Peter Wohlleben uses, which is cadaver rejuvenation, where as the tree decays, it's providing for the baby tree. And then we just kept going with this explosion of ideas, trees growing out of architecture, intermelding with architecture, etc. So there's something quite exciting that helped us generate new ideas by looking at things that weren't necessarily from other games, but also from other games. Everywhere is an inspiration. So we created this new chapter inspired by the hidden life of trees, and we really wanted to explore the lush valley of forest, the trees as storytellers. And we began and end this chapter with a call to action to sign the Play for Forest petition, as you can see here, which calls on world leaders to protect forests. It's this really emotional, poetic, emphatic appeal. The petition also contained a survey asking players questions about their interest in environmental content in games. And I think about 9 other Green Game Jam studios also pushed out this survey. And in a matter of weeks, we got like 400,000 responses, maybe 390,000 responses. Which is incredible, and I'll share some of the results later. The DLC also helped our App Store listing. We went from like the 30s to top 3, and increased daily downloads by like 35% for a short bit. And it's crazy because this is a game that was already 5 years old by this time. So this little chapter about the planet earned profit. And we were pleased with the player response to Monument Valley 2's The Lost Forest. And that gave us confidence to explore sustainability themes deeper in Monument Valley 3. So Monument Valley 3 is a story about togetherness, generating hope after a catastrophe, and our relationship with nature. So in this game, you play as Noor, a lighthouse keeper turned disaster relief rescuer once the floods come, and she seeks a new source of light. She searches by sailing across a water-based world. There's some open area exploring and puzzling, and this tied to our pillars. Our main pillars here are 1, a Monument Valley experience elevated, 2, a hopeful journey of togetherness, and 3, a sustainable home to return to. And pillars 2 and 3 really helped us strengthen the sustainability themes. We could easily connect the dots of a feature and try to connect it to one of these, and that helped us say, this feature needs to stay. So to explore what was new for Monument Valley 3, we had a game jam. I organized this 2-week sprint where we split the team into 3 exploration groups, kind of multidisciplinary pods of like 4 people each. And one of the explorations was sailing. There were some sailing prototypes done in the past, as you can see here, where this boat is quite stuck to the nav. I guess, yeah, I don't know if I have any. Yeah, all of these examples of the boats sailing, moving around. And they seemed quite limited. And the lead programmer at the time, who is now the head of technology at usTwo, Manesh, had said, you know what, let's stop and let's start new. Let's clear the canvas. So we were able to do some open mode thinking with wider boundaries, and we really honed in on what is that key goal or user story or emotion that we're trying to evoke. And so for sailing, we wanted to capture this joy of sailing. We wanted to support that pillar of a hopeful voyage of togetherness. And the result is a sailing experience in the game. And it felt fresh. It fit the story of the flood. It had ludonarrative cohesion. You know, in Monument Valley, most of Monument Valley, you're kind of tap and you wait to move, to see your character move. Even in Monument Valley 3, we had this, but we wanted to show that people need to be more active in times of crisis. You have to use the D-pad controls. I know it's a bit of a stretch, but I think it's quite lovely to show it in play. Drag and hold to move the boat. we can't sit back and be as passive as we once were. So the sustainability themes are fully integrated throughout, really thoughtfully woven. The flood caused by these characters that destroys the world on the very left panel. The middle panel, here you sail to navigate the troubled waters and rescue others. And then the third panel, we draw upon nature-based regenerative solutions to create a resilient, sustainable community, to create hope. We were also super fortunate to have 3 climate experts on our project at different phases. I think we had 1 during concept phase and then 2 during the pre-production and production phase, thanks to a grant, making sure our sustainability themes and narratives were authentic and scientifically sound. I highly recommend, even if you don't have funds, there's some graduate school programs where they will be interested in assisting on this for their benefits as well. So yeah, and now for the first time in Monument Valley, we have live ops. It's this kind of slow, protracted live ops. Our first live ops event was in April for Earth Day, trying to really hone in on the idea that saving the world is not just a one and done thing. It takes continuous work, continuous care, the care of home. What's that word? Economics. We also partnered with a charity, the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, IFRC, you might know them as the Red Cross. And we wanted to help them support communities affected by the devastating floods. So we donate 3% of Monument Valley 3's profits to them. But then this organization also has, a lot of the same themes as Monument Valley 3, rescue, recover, and rebuild. So that partnership made a lot of sense for us. And we made sure they had a presence in the game. It's quite subtle. It's quite gentle. We didn't want to break immersion, especially for a universe as strong as Monument Valley and distinct as Monument Valley. So here is mentioned in the credits, and the themes are all throughout. So these are emotions. These are heartbeats. But we need balance of heart and mind. So let's talk numbers. All right, so did some research, have been gathering them, have been chatting with a lot of people, and sometimes you need a good business case to be able to support some of the initiatives that you're thinking of doing, especially if they're purpose-driven. So let me share a few here. One is that, as we know, the industry is getting quite tight. People are spending, we feel that people aren't spending as much in games, but actually people are still spending money, especially for mobile, but they're spending more on apps versus games. So what is some sort of utility or purpose that we can consider adding to our games to get a piece of that pie? 56% of gamers say the gaming industry has a responsibility to act on the climate crisis and on carbon emissions reductions. And consumers, especially Gen Z and Gen Alpha, are 4 to 6 times more likely to purchase, to protect, to champion purpose-driven companies. So therefore, purpose drives revenue. Green content equals more profit. These are also from some of these numbers, and especially these 2 here, are from the Playing for the Planet Green Game Gems survey. 81% want to see more relevant environmental content in games. 61% are motivated to pay for it. Therefore, green content is bankable. Green gamers can change the world. So there's a lot of numbers here. I should have doled these out one at a time, but I'll run through them. So as we know, 3.4 billion people play video games, which is crazy, 42% of the global population. 80% are open to changing their habits after playing green content. 52% are willing to help convince elected officials to take action, which is twice the general public. I think it's 27%. Yet we only need 3.5% of a given population participating in a movement to attain its goal. Therefore, green games can trigger the social tipping point needed to save the planet, me being optimistic. But let's start with the game industry. How many people do we need given this math? Okay, so 3.5% of 3.4 billion is, come on, chat room. No, it's okay. It is 119 million. So as the Green Game Jam, if you remember from a few slides back, has 100 million daily active users annually, how many do we need? Little drum roll. That's me tapping. we need 19 million. So we only need 19 million more players. It's an optimistic number, but it's attainable, and it's fun to consider, like, can we get to this? For some of your games, that's daily active users. For instance, that's a population of Netherlands. So games can trigger the social tipping point to save the planet, to save ourselves, all while having a sustainable, healthy, profitable business. Players are ready to take action. They want to. So can games facilitate that? I think I wanted to. I missed a few key things from the chat, but I'll scroll through. I don't know if anyone has anything, but I wanted to share a little bit about some of the other things that we've been doing, especially on more on the community side, to do our own care of home, care of community. Yes. So Playing for the Planet's Week of Action. Let me talk a little bit about what happened during this event. So Playing for the Planet and the Green Game Jam organized this last year, where they wanted to have studios do their own real world action for the planet. Wildlife volunteering, in-office changes. And it was really cool to try to think about what to do for this. There are a few companies that did this in Berlin, some in Helsinki and some in San Fran. And we want to do this for London. And we were supposed to do it for a week, but then we just ended up just doing a ton of different events for about a month. And it was a collaboration between usTwo Games, Yaldi Games, Amazon Games, Trail Mix, Space Ape, and other UK game studios. And we wanted to kind of base these community activities around the theme of small actions, big impact. So I'm just going to do a little photo tour. Sorry, there's some noise outside. I hope you don't hear it, of some of the things we did. And just jump in, Valentina, if you have something to add. So one of the activities we did was a climate fresque, which is a 3-hour interactive workshop that teaches you about our changing climate system as a group and empowers you to take high impact climate action. It was led by Gwen Boissel on the very right, who was at Amazon Games at the time and now is starting her own adventure. And you can see here some of the fun we had. And there's me on the very left, and there's Valentina right next to me. Luisa, who is one of the project managers over at Playing for the Planet, is on second from the right. This is exciting. And there's Amelia. Okay, and look, all the cool people. This one was from our walk in the forest. We did a Lost Forest walk where we did 3 different activities. On the very left, we have Elena Huj, I hope I pronounced that correctly, from Yaldi Games. She's making a game about foraging, about combating plant blindness, and called Out and About. And she came and she printed out these lovely pictures of native local plants that we could try to find, and shared her knowledge on these. We also did litter picking. So you can see in the top right, that is Becca, the lead game designer of Trail Mix, picking with my daughter some trash with these sticks. I don't know what the name of that is. There's a group of us in the middle. And then Valentina ended our lovely session with some Vipassana meditation. Perhaps you want to jump in and explain what this is and share a little bit?
Yes, I love whenever we do wellness walks or anything outdoors, I love to just stop and reconnect where possible. I know in London there's way too many people around, even in green spaces, but we were lucky enough to find a little place for ourselves. And so what I normally tend to do is just prompt people to tune inwards. And this idea is really that you have in yourself all the answers. It's just that maybe you don't have the time to focus on that, especially in an office, let's say. And we all know stats around nature and how that heals people. So yeah, normally if we meet up or do anything sustainability wise, we tend to have that moment to pause and rest and recharge. That in itself, frankly, sparks creativity like nothing else. So I would suggest, if nobody tried it before, to get in touch. We'd be happy to have those conversations or help you with some quick whether it's a walking meditation, Vipassana meditation, or just breathing exercises, happy to help. But in this case, lots of folks really dive into it, right? It was the first time, even for Jen, I think, for Vipassana, and it can be scary to close your eyes and just walk in the forest, but I think it worked. You have to let go as well at times, right?
Yes, it was absolutely frightening. And of course, we're all looking at each other like we have to close our eyes and not trust what we normally are used to. And it was really beautiful and quite healing. So thank you so much for leading that. And we'll do more, right? Isn't that the idea, is that we'll be doing some more as over the next few months. More to come on this.
Yeah.
We also did an activity in the National History Museum with Extinction Rebellion, where we mostly played Ocean Bingo, but we also created some octopus arts and crafts and eyes, and got to meet some other excellent supporters in this space, build our community. And we had a clothing swap. This was at the usTwo Games courtyard, and Louisa and Angel had organized everyone just bringing in their clothes and then sharing them and swapping them out for other clothes. It was really fun. And of course, at the very end, we had time to reflect, strategize, but most importantly, celebrate. And this was a small group, but we got to have a little gathering. And then there was a larger gathering at a pub a few months later. And both of these were hosted by Tristan Clark, who is in the middle there with the blue denim shirt, co-founder of Trimix. And in terms of what's next, I just wanted to do a little glance through of some of the things we're thinking about. Actually, this is maybe less relevant, but this is the EcoPunk TTRPG I do at festivals, etc. But the recent version of this is about the crisis in democracy. It's about citizens' assemblies. And for those of you not familiar with them, here's an excellent quote by activist Jamie Kelsey Fry, who's one of the organizers of this jam we're doing, where he says that we cannot deal with the climate crisis until we deal with the crisis in democracy. Democracy has an out-of-date operating system. We need to look at other ways of approaching this. And the solution, one of the solutions, is a citizens' assembly. And for those of you not familiar with them, it's like jury, but for policy. Randomly selected citizens deliberate on a set of issues and propose recommendations to elected politicians. I think it was used recently. I mean, they've been around for 20 years. They've been proven successful in Ireland, for example, on same-sex marriage. And what I'm excited about is it gives people a taste of systems change. And also, to be a good citizens' assembly member, we need empathy skills, active listening, curiosity, compromise, de-escalation. These are things that RPGs like D&D absolutely develops. So yeah, I think the way humanity comes together and makes decisions desperately needs to be upgraded. It needs to be restructured and evolved. And we as game makers can help imagine how to do this. We're an extraordinary species capable of extraordinary things. And I actually will go back to the previous slide and show this is why we're doing the Citizens Assembly Game Jam. I forgot I was going to put the website link here. It's just a QR code. I think I have it at the very end of my presentation, which I'll just skip to really quickly now. But yes, let's provide some planetary care in our homes. Let's go for true economics and share the wealth. So I am now jumping to the Citizens Assembly Game Jam info. Here's the link. Scan it. Please join. We're doing this in the summer. We're hoping to get a few people interested. At least we're hoping to get 40 teams, so come join. There's a £10,000 prize, a $10,000 prize. What currency is it in? And then potential funding path for full development. And there's going to be more details in this link. And there's an interest form. Come join us. Come do and some extraordinary things with us. Thank you. And now we come to the chat, the general chat. Is it? I don't know if I've gone too long, but hopefully we have some time to chat.
Yeah, I think you follow the chat. I haven't seen any questions. I did pop one, and Marianne just reminded folks there is a Q&A section if they want as well. Seen some positive sentiments, so thank you. I definitely suggest people to send you some love and reactions if they agree so far. And then I can quickly check the Q&A. We do have 7 minutes. There you go. Companies are coming up.
We also work with veggie burger companies for sponsorship support. So that activation was after my time at SIBO, but I will reach out and ask. I know they usually try to have collaborations with different brands and different works.
And I know you have a hard stop at 5. Perhaps we can also ask questions to people like you suggested at the beginning. And everyone is welcome to write in the chat if they feel like it, of course. But I think our focus was on asking about wellness. That said, there's another question for you coming up first.
Would this be able to help funding that game industry can hire more people? If you're referring to the business case proposal, I think anything that proposes a new project and the reasons why could potentially result in, okay, yeah, well, we need the resources from this and help identify, but I'm not sure if that answers your question.
And there's one more question about usTwo. What was the inspiration behind the name usTwo?
Also before my time, but I believe it was the two founders of usTwo are Mills and Sinks. And you can probably see more on the Wikipedia page for usTwo.
Shall I read out the next one? What resources do you recommend to help with creating more eco-focused games? Loved the presentation.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I need to link in the IGDA Climate SIG. We are an organization that has a Discord channel, very, very active, and a lot of resources on there that you can look at. I think one of the big ones is the Environmental Game Design Playbook, which I highly recommend. I think it is in this link as well. But we meet every month in person, not in person, but in the video chat.
On Discord, yeah.
On Discord, yeah. So come join.
Next one. What should our first steps be to get involved?
Join the IGJ Climate SIG and come chat with me there. I usually come to every community call. Valentina, if you have any answers, please jump in.
Well, I was more wondering, get involved, it could be also playing for the Planet Alliance. It depends on, if we talk individual or studio. It's also about what you mentioned, the Citizen Assembly game jam could be one. But yes, so there's many layers of it. And if you feel that we haven't answered, of course, get in touch, like Jen said, either the Climate SIG Discord or LinkedIn, however you feel like. I see another couple of questions though. One is, have you conducted a life cycle analysis to measure your product's environmental footprint?
So we have been doing that as part of our Playing for the Planet initiatives, is to do a carbon emissions calculate. Actually, Valentina, I've been talking so much. Feel free to jump in and grab this.
Yeah, in our case, we do one yearly, and it's just what we want to do anyways. So as part of the alliance, they ask for it, but as part of us as a studio, we used to do it even before then. And so for that, you will follow all the general rules you would in terms of reporting, which does come with, some limitations, I would say. And if that were not the case, the alliance would not exist in a sense, because we just want to push the envelope further also on reporting. Let's be clear, like we don't have a magic bullet here, but we're trying together to build something better for all. So yes, we do cover that in the reports. You'll see it in the Playing for the Planet Alliance yearly reports as well, some examples of that and numbers. But individually, we're still striving to do better, I think. That would be my answer, but it's definitely, if you have games or a studio that supports this view, you do it no matter what. You do it with what you have. You start with what you have, whether it's recycling in the kitchen or making sure you have the fair energy supplier. You start really with what you can control. And then up to the servers and everything else. Shall I move on to the next questions in the interest of time? We have one that says, great presentation. What is your thoughts and feeling on if studios should be aligning and collaborating with activist groups and the impact that this might have on company reputation, especially if they take perceived negative actions? I think there may be more. No, that's it.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't see the question because I wanted to respond to it because it is a tough one. And I think you just have to be careful of, especially if you're representing your company, I'm lucky to be at usTwo Games, which is a B Corp, and they are quite supportive. Of course, I don't engage in any intense activity. As you see, I would do Extinction Rebellion family events. I don't do anything that would get me arrested, although I did lie in the street, but for some reason that wasn't an arrestable activity. Maybe because it was part of the march. But yeah, I think sorry, I don't know if I'm answering the question because I don't see it, but oh, here's a Q&A. Yeah, but I think it's
if you check the Q&A tab, they appear there. There is chat, people, and then Q&A.
And I don't know. Yeah, I can't see. I still look. So here. It's the second one up. But I don't know, Valentina, if you had an answer.
So I think it's so first I will say in 1 minute, I will say you can protect yourself. You have to really research your partners. That's the first step. You will not go into business with anyone you don't trust and you don't align with, right? So you kind of want to do some due diligence no matter what. And in that phase, then you can be a bit more honest with yourself about whether the partner that you are working with, an activist group, does have some, hidden skeletons or something in the closet that you didn't know about. So definitely don't underestimate that first impact and research. It could take even up to 1 year. Do some awareness campaign. Use social media first. Don't go all in if you're not so certain, but do what you can to see if you're a match. I would say that when you are not sure about who you have in front of you. But of course, all the legal layers do come into the picture. If you're a bigger studio, bigger corporation, you have a lot more to take into consideration than just running tests. So that is definitely, the conversation, let's say, for bigger entities, for sure. Protection first, kind of thing. There is one last question, and then I think you have to go, Jen. I'll be reading it up. When talking about sustainable, will this also be considered in designing a mindful the hiring system? So we can get into the industry and not worrying our future when a project ends. I think it's all about the HR side or resources side, this one. A mindful hiring system. That's an interesting question. I would say yes, it would be considered as a sustainable practice to support employees hiring or also their journey as employees moving forward. Whether it can be labeled as such or you can address HR as such, I think it's up to the individual teams.
Yeah, to add on to that, I think it's quite an interesting avenue that is worth exploring. I know, and Playing for the Planet, we're exploring what are sustainable marketing practices, but I think it would be really cool to also, maybe that's later on their roadmap, to explore what are sustainable HR practices. I unfortunately have to leave. I want to stay. Everyone's asking such good questions. I didn't expect these many questions. And I was like, let's have a conversation. But, I also took too long to present. So thank you, Valentina. Thank you, Mary Jane. You guys should feel free to stay unless you have a meeting. But I hope we can chat again some more soon. I'd really love to hear some of the challenges, whether you want to talk about it in this session, but maybe more if you want to message me in LinkedIn, some of the challenges that you're facing today when it comes to wellness, and some of the things that Valentina and I are exploring is how to potentially address this. And hearing your thoughts can help us strengthen some of the activities that we're doing, the secret activities that we're doing on this topic. Thank you. All right. Do I just
Thank you, Jen.
Bye. Oh, I'll take a picture first. Bye.
Bye.